Tsvi Bisk. Was born and bred and raised in Philadelphia. Moved to Israel in 1967. I'm a futurist. I've written several books, many articles. I'm an optimist about the future of the planet Earth and the human race, and I write and speak about it a great deal. I think most of the problems we think are disturbing us are either already solved or on the way to being solved. And there's no reason to be pessimistic.
Well, most people at this conference this week in the World Futurists have talked about how many jobs are going to be lost. Yours was talking about how many jobs are going to be found in the next couple of years.
Well, I don't like the word jobs. I like the word making a living, because by the middle of this century, in my opinion, most people will be self-employed in one way or the other. The whole concept of the salaried worker is slowly disappearing. And even people who think they're salaried but are working on a personal contract, they are essentially self-employed and have to take advantage of themselves. The other thing is, the fastest growing rubric in the workforce, if you want to call it the workforce, is what is called a portfolio worker. Somebody who makes his living out of 4 or 5 or 6 different jobs at once. He might have a half a position salaried and be self-employed for the other half, and as a self-employed person have 2 or 3 different things he does. For example, I was teaching, I was translating, and I was lecturing. So teaching, I'm getting a salary; translating, I'm billing people; and lecturing, I'm billing people. And that's just an example of a growing group of people, and that's because of the total flexibility of the workforce today.
So where is your optimism coming from? Because I know a lot of people are really, even at this Futurist, a lot of people want to be optimistic, but you truly are honestly optimistic.
Because history matters. And I taught history for some years. And if you look at historical analogy, we all think we're in the worst, we're in such a crisis. Well, you look at the periods our parents lived in. My parents lived through the Depression and World War II. What the hell is that compared to this? You know? Or look 100 years before that, the Civil War, or 80 years before that, the Civil War. I mean, you know, how do they say everything is relative? On the one hand, it's not the worst crisis we've ever the human race has ever had. On the other hand, the human race has never had more capability or utensils or resources to address its problems. Look at the progress we've made in the last 20, 30 years. Almost 1 billion people have moved into the middle class in the last 20 years worldwide. We're going to have 600 million people in China, middle class, in 20 years. 450 million, 500 million, half a billion people in India, the middle class, in 20, 30 years. The so-called population explosion, that's no longer the problem. We're looking at a population implosion, where you have negative population growth or negative birth rates in about 60 or 70 countries.
So, as a futurist, and as somebody who's been talking about this, and you mentioned earlier in one of your speeches that Israel's recycling 80% of its own water.
75 to 80% of its wastewater. Yeah.
And then the next closest country is Spain.
Spain with 13%. Yes.
So, do you think that other countries? Do you think that there's this? So that's a great source of optimism, because that whole idea.
Well, we use 40% of our water for agriculture, and the world uses 70% of its water for agriculture. If the world reached the same level as Israel, there'd be no shortage of sweet water around the world. I'm not even mentioning the rapidly declining cost of desalinization. Desalinization might become so cheap that it wouldn't be economically feasible to recycle water.
Excellent. So, any advice for young people who should be more optimistic about how they should be looking at their future?
Yeah, don't listen to the crap on television.
Well, thank you very much. How can people contact you if they want to find out more of what you're doing?
Bisk, B-I-S-K, at futurist-thinking.co.il. Or just Google Tsvi Bisk in inverted commas, T-S-V-I-B-I-S-K. I'm the only one on the planet Earth with that name. So anything that comes up is going to be me.
Excellent.
Super.
Thank you very much.